All right, let's get right into this. I want you to picture it. It's just after 7:30 in the morning, local time, over the Persian Gulf. You've got two U.S. F-18 Super Hornets just doing a routine patrol when the call comes in. Multiple slow-moving contacts are making a beeline for the American fleet. Turns out they're Iranian Shahed drones, popping off one by one from a ship that's been disguised to look like a small aircraft carrier. The pilots, well, they bank hard and dive in to intercept. And see, that's the hook right there. This wasn't just some straightforward attack. Oh no, this was a carefully baited trap, and these U.S. pilots were flying right into the middle of it. What happens next? It's this incredibly complex, high-stakes chess match, but it's all playing out at supersonic speeds.
So, the very first problem the pilots ran into wasn't about who had the faster jet or the better weapons. It was about something much more fundamental. It was about money.
Okay, so here's the first major hiccup. Your F-18 is loaded with Sidewinder missiles, right? These are incredible pieces of heat-seeking tech. But the Shahed drone? Its engine is tiny, basically the size of a lawnmower engine, so its heat signature just completely blended into the warm water below. The missile's advanced seeker literally couldn't get a solid lock. You know, it was like trying to spot a single candle flame in the middle of a forest fire.
With the missiles being so unreliable, the pilots were left with really only one option, their 20mm cannon. But to use the gun, you have to do what's called a strafing run. You gotta dive low and fly straight at the target. The problem? This pointed them directly at Bandar Abbas Harbor and every single anti-aircraft gun on its walls. Instantly, they went from being the hunters to being the hunted.
And this right here shows you the real game that was being played. Because even when the Sidewinders actually worked, just look at this math. Every single time a U.S. pilot launched, they were trading a $400,000 weapon for a $20,000 drone. This wasn't just a dogfight. It was economic warfare, plain and simple.
So here's the crazy part. Iran was actually winning by losing. They were perfectly happy to lose every single one of those drones, because for each one that got shot down, the U.S. was bleeding cash at a 20-to-1 ratio. It's kind of like a dollar store trying to bankrupt a huge retailer, just one cheap item at a time. And with every single pass, those American pilots were getting lower and lower on missiles and fuel. And it's right about then, just as the pilots are dealing with this ridiculous economic problem, that they see it. They have this sudden, chilling realization that the drones, they weren't the attack. They were just the distraction.
Because there, on the deck of that Iranian ship, the IRS Shahin Bagheri, sat the real danger. We're talking 8 massive anti-ship cruise missiles. These weren't cheap disposable toys. No, each one of these was a ship killer, more than powerful enough to put an American destroyer at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. The drones were just the bait, to pull the fighters in and make them waste all their ammo. So all of a sudden, the pilots are facing this impossible choice. What do? Do you keep fighting the swarm of drones that are an immediate threat? Or do you ignore them and go after the ship carrying the weapons that could sink the entire fleet? You've got 2 pilots and 2 absolutely critical missions that both need to be handled right now.
They made the only decision they could. They split up. The flight lead, he peels off and pushes north, gunning it for the Iranian ship. His wingman stays behind to try and hold off that drone swarm all by himself. And just like that, one engagement becomes 2 separate, totally desperate battles.
And now, you've got all these different clocks ticking down at the same time. The wingman is running out of missiles, he's running out of fuel. Meanwhile, the lead pilot is flying straight into the kill zone of the Iranian ship's surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs. And down on the ship's bridge, the Iranian captain is just watching it all unfold, waiting for that perfect moment, the second the F-18s are out of weapons, to launch his own ship killers. The whole situation has just escalated into this absolutely terrifying race against time. Every decision is being made in a fraction of a second, but the consequences, they're going to be measured in lives and in warships. So let's look at this from the lead pilot's cockpit. He's got to get down to 16,000 feet to launch his own anti-ship missiles. But, and this is a huge but, the Iranian SAMs can lock onto him as high as 18,000 feet. That creates this deadly 2,000-foot window where he's a target, but he can't shoot back yet. As he's descending through it, he is simultaneously the hunter and the hunted. And, just to make things even more stressful, a whole new problem pops up. And to get it, you need to know what IFF is. It's pretty simple. Think of it like an electronic handshake between friendly aircraft that says, hey, I'm on your team. If you don't have that signal, you're just an unidentified bogey.
And that's exactly what happens. Out of nowhere, a fast-moving jet appears, heading right for them.
and it is not squawking a friendly IFF signal. Is it an Iranian fighter jet joining the battle? Or maybe a friendly plane with a broken radio? The lead pilot has no choice. He has to break off his attack, burning precious time and fuel to go check it out. It turns out to be another Hornet with a busted radio, totally oblivious to the chaos it just caused.
So while the lead pilot was chasing that ghost, his wingman's situation went from bad to critical. He calls out Winchester, which means he is completely out of missiles. His only choice is the gun. So he dives, again, into that wall of anti-aircraft fire, guns blazing. He nails another drone, but his jet takes a hit. He's damaged, but thankfully, he's still in the air. Okay, so the lead pilot identifies the friendly, rolls back in on his target. The launch window is still there, but just barely. He gets the tone he needs and unleashes. 2 long-range anti-ship missiles drop from his wings. The American counterpunch is finally on its way. The pilot's job is over. Now it's all up to the missiles.
And this is where the whole story takes another wild turn. Because this fight wasn't just won by the skill of the pilots. It was won by the incredible technology they just let loose. This final act, it's all about the thinking missile.
See, the LRSM is not your average missile. It's an autonomous weapon. The best way to think about it is like a hunting dog that's been let off its leash. The pilot just points it in the general direction, fires, and the missile's onboard AI does literally all the rest, sniffing out, identifying, and taking out the target all by itself.
So, how does it think? Well, as it's flying into that harbor, it isn't just looking for the target, it's listening. It's scanning every electronic signal in the area. It can tell the difference between a civilian ferry and a warship. It can even ignore a sinking ship that's screaming on distress frequencies to find the live warship whispering on a tactical channel. It cuts through all the noise, finds the real threat, the Shaheen Bagheri, and locks on.
And this is how those final seconds play out. The Iranian ship throws everything it has at the incoming missile. First, it fires a SAM to intercept. But just before it hits, the LRSM cleverly dips down into the trough between 2 waves, and the SAM's radar loses its lock. Boom, it detonates over empty water. Next, the ship's 20mm cannons open up. But at 600 miles per hour, that's like trying to hit a Formula 1 car with a garden hose. The missile just flies right through the curtain of fire.
The first LASM smashes into the ship's hull. The deck lurches violently. The Iranian captain's hand is literally on the launch panel for his own cruise missiles, but it's too late. The ship is listing so badly that his missile launchers are now pointing uselessly at the sky. His trap has completely failed. The second missile hits at the waterline, and the Gulf just pours in. And the whole thing just leaves you with this one fascinating question. I mean, this entire battle was this complex human drama, right? It was about skill and guts and desperation. But in the end, the decisive blow was struck by an autonomous weapon that made its own decisions. When a piece of AI can outthink and outfly an entire human crew in all their defenses, it really forces you to ask, what does being superior in warfare even look like anymore?